So, my dear ones, we have anomalies ahead. The latest calculations from the CFS model from November 29th in relation to the long-term average from 1991 to 2020. And a very important thing, as you have seen in some calculations, in some articles, for example, from ONET recently, which I also referenced on our channel. The editors claim that this is a forecast. Oh, this is not a forecast. This is not a forecast. This is a prediction. This is a trend that shows us which way temperatures or average temperatures in a given area may go. We do not treat this as a forecast, but rather as a trend, and I will always mention this, guarding these calculations. But despite this, it is worth taking a look at these calculations and interpreting them appropriately, as they can show us what may happen roughly in the coming months, what these months may be like, and what their characteristics may be. And we can also compare this to the actual state of a given month. As we start this month, of course, we begin with the anomaly of the average temperature, which is what we like the most, at the beginning of December, the first month that is already starting here. So, December. In the case of December, we see primarily a positive temperature anomaly, mainly from 1 to 1.5 degrees Celsius. The very large positive anomaly over Russia stands out all the time. This would mean that the anomaly would indicate that temperatures over Russia could be higher than the long-term averages by 1 or 2 degrees Celsius. This does not mean that there will be no winter there, and it does not mean that it will be exceptionally warm, but it will simply be warmer than in previous years. The average temperature may rise by 1 or 2 degrees, can still mean that there will be episodes with snow, but there will likely be fewer of them than more. Guarding the temperature over Poland, of course, about that average anomaly, we also see a positive anomaly in Poland from 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius. Let's move on to January. In the case of January, the situation is very similar. So we have here again a situation where there is indeed a slightly positive anomaly across Europe, but again over Russia and Finland, we have a slightly positive anomaly of 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. So it seems that January may be in fact slightly warmer in terms of temperatures than in previous years, considering the temperatures. And here we see that, unfortunately for us, for those who unfortunately prefer snow, this January may be somewhat warmer again. February looks very concerning because in the case of February, we have been seeing for some time that this positive anomaly, look here, far in the north, can reach 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, which is quite a lot. Also here, Eastern Europe has a positive anomaly at quite a significant level of 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. And here I will repeat that I rather expect winter episodes, not very strong, but I do expect them. However, this means that the average temperature may be 1 or 2 degrees higher. There may be slightly fewer of these episodes. They may be a bit shorter. The Arctic flow may be slightly weaker, but I rather expect that it may be completely the opposite. There may be a situation where higher temperatures prevail over Russia, and there the temperatures will drop quite significantly, so everything is ahead of us. Of course, in such a situation, the Northeast has a greater anomaly than the rest of the country. Why? Because the Northeast is overall a slightly cooler area than the west and south of the country, so if there is a bit less influx of air from over Russia, that is, the continental air, then we already have a situation where there is a positive anomaly. And we still have March. In the case of March, the anomaly is already smaller, but it is still a positive anomaly, especially with our eastern neighbors, from 1 to 2 degrees Celsius higher. So, what does this mean for us? For us, a slightly warmer winter. This winter, which would have a bit less of, to put it well, those very cold air masses. Of course, looking from October, this does not necessarily hold true. This is a very general outline, a very general trend, but it shows us that it will likely be another year with a winter similar to what we had last year. With such a poor winter, at least for us, for Poland, let's move on to the anomalies of total precipitation. Here, not much has changed. It is very similar to our previous discussions. And here we see that very heavy rainfall is expected in December. Norway, it is also expected specifically in Scotland and Iceland as well. What could this be due to? This would be due to the fact that atmospheric fronts would rather be heading north. In this way, we would have an effect thanks to the NAO, but the question is whether it is NAO plus or NAO minus. Let me know in the comments. On the other hand, Southern Europe would again have a negative anomaly, meaning there would be a little less precipitation. January, on the other hand, begins to normalize, so in many places in Europe, precipitation would be at normal levels. Large amounts of precipitation would still be in Norway, especially in the fjords, where we would have significantly more precipitation in that area. As for Poland, precipitation would be rather normal. It's time to move on to the next month, so we move on to February. Here for Poland, precipitation is normal, possibly slightly above normal in southern Poland. On the other hand, southwestern Norway would have a positive anomaly, meaning there would be more precipitation there. And in March, here, the Balkans and southern Europe would have smaller amounts of precipitation. Central and southern Poland as well, northern Poland, northern Europe, rather normal or slightly with a negative anomaly, unless we are talking about Norway. Then here we have a positive anomaly. Despite this, we see that the latest calculations are slowly changing this trend. And here February and March show us that there will be less and less of this precipitation. This positive anomaly will be decreasing, and March is starting to show us as a negative anomaly. How it will be, of course, we will see. Also, the anomaly of the average sea surface temperature, and here, of course, there are no major changes. So we have, my dear, so indeed we have December here. In the case of December, the Atlantic is very warm, and the most important for us is the Atlantic. The Atlantic is the most important because it will produce and send us lows, and it keeps doing that. Only sometimes we have a high-pressure block, and these lows do not reach us. As for the Mediterranean Sea, we also have a strong positive anomaly here, so Greece, as well as other countries, will have large amounts of precipitation, and lows will either form somewhere here, in the vicinity of the Gulf of Genoa, or in other places in the Mediterranean Sea, for example, on the atmospheric fronts that will move from west to east across Europe. And there is also a possibility of a Medican forming. There is definitely a chance for that in the coming months. How it will be, we will see. January will have a similar situation as December. Only the Black Sea has a temperature anomaly, with sea surface temperatures slightly below, normal around -1, -1.5. As for February and March, there are no major changes, so we still see that the Atlantic is well warmed, the Baltic Sea as well, the Mediterranean Sea as well. It will certainly be an interesting period in the weather, and it can certainly have a good impact here. We will see how it will be, but I expect more lows, likely. In January and February, this is the period when hurricanes can appear, which may be stronger, and when Medicaine can form over the Mediterranean Sea. You will see how it will be. I hope you will, of course, be with us.